Newton's laws of motion lay the foundation for almost all of physics and are extremely fundamental to our understanding of the world around us. Though we do often take them for granted, they play a huge part in our day-to-day lives. So the question posed is, how are Newton's three laws of motion experienced by us in our daily lives? Let's start with Newton's first law. According to hyperphysics.edu, Newton's first law states that an object will remain at rest or in uniform motion in a straight line unless acted on by an external force. This is more commonly stated as, an object at rest will stay at rest and an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Basically, objects tend to resist changes in direction and velocity. So how do we experience this in our everyday lives? We are affected by Newton's first law of motion every time we ride in a car. When the car accelerates, your head is pushed against the headrest because your body is resisting the change in motion brought upon it by the car. The same thing happens when you brake suddenly. Your head pitches forward because your body wants to keep going at the speed it was going before the brakes were applied. Now, let's move on to Newton's second law. According to physicsclassroom.com, Newton's second law is often summarized as the equation, force equals mass times acceleration. What this equation means is that a heavy object moving at a slow speed can have the same amount of force as a light object moving very quickly. However, a heavy object is a lot harder to get up to speed, whilst a lighter object is a lot easier. We experience this when we try to move an object, say, around the house. If it is a heavy object, it requires a lot more force to be moved than a lighter object. It is thanks to Newton's second law that a couch is a lot harder to move around the house than a chair is. Since the couch has more mass, it requires more force to move it. The chair's mass doesn't really compare to the couch's mass, therefore it needs a lot less force to move. Finally, let's move on to Newton's third law. Newton's third law of motion states all forces in the universe occur in equal but oppositely directed pairs. In other words, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We can experience this law just by sitting in a chair. As you sit in your chair, your body acts on the chair with one force, and the chair reacts on your body with an equal yet opposite force. This force is what keeps you upright and keeps the chair from collapsing. Another day-to-day example of Newton's third law is pushing off of a wall. Even though you use your arms to push towards the wall, your body ends up moving away from the wall. This is because your action of pushing the wall has an opposite reaction away from the wall. As you can see, Newton's laws affect all parts of our lives and are present no matter what we do. I have shown just a few examples of how we experience Newton's laws in our daily lives, but there are many, many more. Newton's laws are everywhere around us.